it's Em. It is the last day of 2022, and so I thought I would talk about my reading plans, my TBR for 2023. I have a few different ways of approaching this. The first one being the 12 book challenge. You may have seen this going around, particularly on Twitter. I'm not sure if I've seen it anywhere else, where 12 friends recommend 12 different books, and you read them, one a month, ostensibly. I am a mood reader, so these are books that I plan to read and have had suggested or recommended to me, and I will put, scooch over so I can have space on the screen. I will put it up, the image, but some of these, I cheated a little. Some of these weren't necessarily recommended to me. They were ones that were already, I was already planning to read. And so I just put them on there. Ooh, well. I did get, thank you to everyone on Twitter who gave me a gazillion recommendations. I have a longer list set aside that goes beyond these 12. But these are the 12 that I decided I would at least try to commit to for the coming year. I'm sorry, we have a house full of people, and when they walk, you hear it very loudly because our house is not on a slab, it's on a crawl space, and so the floors aren't, there's just, it's noisy. If I ever have the option again, will not live in a house with a crawl space beneath it because it's so freaking loud and I am so sensitive to noise. But anyway, I don't know if you can hear it, but I hear it and I find it very distracting. Anyway, on this list, Squires, which is the sequel to Journeys, which was one of my 5-star reads of 2022. Anne Rice's Queen of the Damned, because I will continue my Vampire Chronicles reread, and I'm sure those of you here for the vampire content will be super excited. The Song of Achilles, which I was given for my birthday. I've wanted to read this book for so long. It's already 10 years old, which I did not even realize. It was written way back in 2012, or published in 2012. And so I'm way behind on that, but I'm super excited to read it. I've actually, again, cheated a little. I've already started reading it, but I'm holding out finishing it till the new year, so it counts towards 2023. The Sun and the Star, which I've mentioned in I think at least one other video. It's the Nico, it's a Nico-centric Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson kind of thing. I think he's writing it with someone else, or it's kind of like that James Patterson thing where he puts his name on it, but somebody else does most of the work. So I don't know how good it will or won't be. I know there's also another Percy Jackson book written by Rick Riordan coming out this year, The Cup of the Gods, which I'm just Ganymede? I don't know. But, so I'll probably also try to read that. But also on the, you'll see in my physical TBR photo when I show it in a little bit, I still haven't finished The Tower of Nero. I need to finish that and close out the Trials of Apollo. So it's potential for a lot of Rick Riordan going on this year. We'll see. Then I have this Brotherhood of the Black Flag, which I think is a pirate swashbuckling kind of book. I'm not usually a pirate reader, but I've heard really good things about this book, so I definitely want to give it a try. The author who wrote it, Ian Nathaniel Cohen, he is working, I think, on a Robin Hood book, and I love, love, love Robin Hood, so I'm hoping this will be good, and I'm going to read it to tide me over while I wait for the Robin Hood story. Ceremony, which is nonfiction, kind of more meditative devotionals, was recommended by a tarot reader, and I have heard/read a couple of they're generally 1 page long little things, maybe 1 or 2 pages, little meditations and things, and it really spoke to me, so I'd like to read the rest of it. Heaven Official's Blessing. This is one that Jess mentioned over on her channel, and I was just super intrigued, so I want to try it. The Secret at Raven's Point is another indie book. I'm trying to read more indie books in general. I think it's some kind of small town mystery kind of thing. So I'm interested in that because I did want to read more mysteries this coming year. I didn't end up reading as many mysteries in 2022, which is really weird because normally I'm very much a mystery reader, and somehow that did not happen. So I'm trying to make up for that. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. That book has been recommended all over the place, and so it is on my TBR for 2023. Also, the Jeanette McCurdy, I'm Glad My Mom Died, that memoir, I would like to try. The London Seance Society, I was asking for recommendations for something ghosty, gothic. This book I think is coming out in 2023, but maybe some people have read Arcs. I don't know. It sounded intriguing, so I put that on my list. And Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. So I think she's the one who wrote The Love Con, which I didn't love, but I didn't hate. And the premise for Spoiler Alert about the fanfic author and everything, like, that seemed even more my thing than The Love Con would have been. So it was Olivia Dade who wrote The Love Con, right? I don't remember. I thought it was. But anyway, so I was thinking I would give that a try. So those are the 12 books on that like reading challenge. And then I have a bingo card. And I did, so this year I had a reading journal, and if you've seen one of my shorts, you've seen that I got almost every square. I think there were like maybe 4 squares that I didn't fill, but I had bingo in several directions. Anyway, I was satisfied with my bingo card. This year, 2023, again, I'll put the bingo card up so you can see it. And it's on my Twitter, if you look under my media, or I can, if people are interested and want to use this bingo card, I'll maybe put it up on my website. But you can see it's a new release, which in 2022, I read so many books that were either like published in 2022 or 2021. So I don't think reading a new release will be difficult. You can see I already have several on that list, the Sun and the Star. So, stuff like that, I think. A self-published book, independently published book. Again, I have several already on my list. So some of the things from that 12-month thing will work for these bingo squares. 1980s, I don't know if it means, I guess it could either mean the book was published in the 80s or it's set in the 80s, either way. I think Queen of the Damned was published in the 80s. I'll have to double check that. I'm sure I can find something set in the 1980s otherwise. Well, because the Vampire Lestat was set in the 80s and the Queen of the Damned comes right after. So anyway, a reread, again, Queen of the Damned would count for that. But my rule for bingo is never to count a book twice, so I'd have to pick one. Young adult, which, I can and will read. A memoir / biography, the Jeanette McCurdy book would count for that, or I can find something else. A forward title, okay. First in a series. Royalty, so something with royalty involved. A green cover. Again, my copy of Queen of the Damned is green. Wait, is my copy black? I think I have the green one. But anyway, I'm sure there are other green books I can find to read. We'll see. Manga / graphic novel. I read manga all the time, so that's not going to be difficult. Fantasy. I don't read high fantasy, but I read things with fantasy elements. So maybe, and then of course the center square is just any book. Mystery, mythology. So maybe Song of Achilles counts as mythology, right? Book in translation. I will need to find. I read a couple of books in translation this year. I would like to read at least one in the coming year, so we'll see. A foreign setting, a rom-com, nonfiction, historical, so I guess historical fiction or nonfiction. I have no, I guess historical nonfiction would just be history. I don't know. Ghosts / hauntings. I'm actually reading a book called Ghostland right now. It's nonfiction. Look at like our interest in the supernatural. So I guess that would count. LGBT. That is usually not difficult for me. I tend to read a lot of those anyway. Author shares your initials. Okay. I guess we'll see. Spies. I used to read spy novels all the time. And I even wrote one, The Fall and Rise of Peter Stoller, way back in like 2015, 2016. But it's been a long time since I've read a spy novel, so maybe it's time to get back to that. And then animal in the title. Okay, well, I guess we'll see. But that's my bingo card challenge for 2023. And then I'll insert a picture of my physical TBR. Some of these are new-ish. We recently went away on a little like 2-day like getaway and hit like this cute little bookstore in this small town we were staying in, and I grabbed some books that I had heard of, and they were there, and I decided, hey, I'm in this cute little indie bookstore and I want to support it. I'm gonna grab some books. So you'll see the Tuesday Murder Club, The Appeal, and Devil House on the top of this pile. And completely by accident, they were all like black, white, and red covers. It was not planned, but I was like, oh, how very aesthetic of me. And then the rest of these, and I'm looking at the pile now. That's why I keep looking over here. I'm like, what? What's in this pile? Some of them have been sitting here for a couple years now. Tana French's The Searcher. I don't know why it's taking me so long to read this book, because I love Tana French, but for some reason, though, I tried to read The Witch Elm, and I couldn't get into it. And I think I'm afraid that I'm going to feel the same way about The Searcher. I should just, try it and, determine whether or not I'm actually going to read it. I really just need to get there. But I haven't been in the mood for that kind of thing, that kind of moody, atmospheric read lately. So I don't know. The Demon Haunted World by Carl Sagan. I actually started reading that earlier this year, and I really was enjoying it, but it was heavy for what I was going through personally, and so I set it aside. I do hope to finish that. This Ellie Griffiths book, which I found at a used bookstore, and I did not realize it was part of a series, but now I see these Ellie Griffiths books everywhere, and yeah, I don't know. So I mean, I don't know if it matters where I start. I don't know what book in this series this is or anything like that. I haven't done any research, so I don't know, but it is a mystery, so I want to read more mysteries, so I'd like to. The Push by Ashley Aldrain. I've heard and read and seen very differing opinions. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but we'll give it a go. Obviously, The Tower of Nero, I really just need to finish it, and is that it? Oh, well, in Queen Victoria's Matchmaking, which is a nonfiction about how Queen Victoria liked to meddle and arrange marriages for all her kids and grandkids and whatnot. I've always been interested in all that stuff, so that's there as well. Hopefully I'll get to all these this year. The problem is I'm also going to keep going to bookstores and the used bookstore and stuff, and I'm going to keep finding more stuff to bring home. It seems like as fast as I read them, it's like bringing home stray animals, I don't know, but they need homes. So I have a lot of options. Like I said, there's also still a bunch of recommendations I've been given on Twitter, so I do hope and plan to read some of those. If you want to recommend a book for me, you can do so in the comments. Keep in mind, I don't read gory horror. I can read Stephen King and be fine, but anything that's really graphic, I don't read it. I don't read erotica. I don't mind a good romance with some sex scenes in it, but if it's just all sex, I'm not interested. And I don't read anything where they hurt animals. So I'll read thrillers, but in a lot of these thriller books, you know, somebody's like, oh, mutilating animals or whatever. No, thank you. So don't recommend anything that has that in it, please. I do like fantasy, and I will even entertain high fantasy. But you know, the big thick ones, I've tried Brandon Sanderson. I can't do it. I didn't like Wheel of Time. That kind of fantasy doesn't work for me. So if it's maybe something a little different or shorter, shorter is good. I'm curious about maybe some of the fantasies that are like more like fantasy romances. Not Sarah J. Maas, again, not my thing, but like I like things like with fae or whatever. I'd be curious to try something like that. So if you have a recommendation there, let me know. And yeah, happy new year, happy reading. If you have any recommendations for anything that fits my bingo board, let me know that too. And I will see you in 2023. Take care.